Problem 3. It seems a little tricky, but we have to realize when we see this cosine squared theta that we can change that to something. What we must remember is the cosine squared of theta plus the sine squared of theta is equal to 1. That's a basic property. It's basically based off of the Pythagorean theorem. I've shown you that in class. Well, if I solve this for cosine, if I try to get cosine squared by itself, I'm going to move the sine squared over. To get rid of adding sine squared, I simply subtract sine squared of theta minus a sine squared of theta. You don't really need the equal there because we're subtracting sine squared theta from the left side and from the right side. It goes away here. You're left with cosine squared theta is simply 1 minus a sine squared theta, and we're going to use that. I'm going to change this guy into 1 minus sine squared theta. So I'm going to rewrite the top as 1 minus sine squared theta over 1 plus a sine of theta. And you're saying, well, see, that doesn't take me anywhere. What's going on? Well, think of this. What if you had x squared minus 16? You'd say, oh, wait, that's just a difference of squares. X plus a 4, x minus a 4. Or if this were x squared minus 25, oh, x plus 5, x minus 5. That's what you have here. A perfect square here and a sine times sine here. This top is simply a 1 minus a sine of theta times a 1 plus a sine of theta. Because notice, 1 times 1 is 1. The minus sine theta plus sine theta cancels out. And sine squared times a sine of theta, a sine theta times sine of theta, sine squared of theta minus a sine squared theta. That's what it is. All over in the bottom I have 1 plus sine of theta. That and that are the same. You're left with simply 1 minus the sine of whatever theta is. This whole big thing is simply 1 minus the sine of the angle. So if you're trying to find the cosine squared of 30 degrees divided by 1 plus the sine of 30, it's nothing more than simply 1 minus the sine of 30. That's all it is. Manipulation. We do that a lot in mathematics to get things to look the way we want them to look. Problem number 3, it is 1 minus sine squared theta.